Good morning. Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. We're glad you're with us this morning. I am Brian Glenn. We have a lot to get to this morning. Here's what we're tracking. First, President Trump addressing the nation in his State of the Union address last night, laying out his agenda on the economy, national security, and foreign policy, and drawing a sharp line between his second-term priorities and his critics. We're breaking it down. Key moments, the policies that pushes what comes next on Capitol Hill. We have a full reaction all morning long. Then, the Clintons back in the spotlight. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton now agreeing to testify. They'll appear before the House Oversight Committee in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. The questions now, what did they know? When did they know it? And what will those transcripts reveal? We're following the developments. We'll have that as well. And later, Americans trapped in Mexico amid the escalating cartel violence. Project Dynamo confirms boots on the ground in Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara. More than 100 evacuation requests already received. The U.S. Embassy urging shelter in place as rescue operations are staged. We'll speak live with Project Dynamo and what they're seeing and how these missions unfold in real time. As American Sunrise Early Edition starts right now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
You people and others like you built this country.
Join us as we break down the stories that matter.
F-A-F-O. If you don't know, now you know.
American Sunrise Early Edition on Real America's Voice starts now.
All right, good morning. We're coming to you live from the White House this morning. The morning after the State of the Union. We'll get down to all of that before we go any further. Here's what you can do. Take a look at the bottom of the screen. You have a QR code down there. That is your direct line to Weather Nation. You can scan it, get connected, and during the 9 a.m. hour in American Sunrise, we may feature your hometown forecast. We'll do that live. So head over to Real America's Voice chat on Getter, Rumble, and YouTube, and you could be next on your hometown forecast. All right, let's get a check on today's national forecast with Weather Nation's own Tracy Anthony. Good morning to you, Tracy.
Hey, good morning. It looks like, the grass is green behind you, so not too much snow. Yeah. You may have a few flakes today, though. The snow is melted,
which is really nice.
Yeah. You know what? That's
a little warmer than it has been.
Yeah, definitely. You've got another system that's going to swing on through. For areas north of D.C., areas like New York City, Boston, where they picked up 20, 30 inches of snow, it's going to be a little insult to injury. You can see this was that storm system, though, from satellite. Now, areas around Boston still clearing out here. And the other big stories across the country are fire danger and then heat out west. So we're still kind of following this larger scale weather pattern, but it's just not as aggressive. So the system that's going through the Northeast today just going to bring about 1 to 3 inches of snow. We will have a little rain returning to the Southeast and still very windy, hot, and dry for the Central Plains. We are talking record potential heat out west, though. Areas like Phoenix, 87 degrees for your daytime high. Dallas going to be at 83. And we're going to be setting potential record highs all the way through the weekend. So this warmth is here to stick around and stay across parts of the southern plains and the southwest. But here's a look as you get out the door this morning. The Northeast, this is where we do have that snow that's working on through. Notice in D.C. it's just a little rain, but you're kind of right on that border of those that temperature line of 32 degrees where we could go either way, but New York City going to have some fresh snow for their morning commute. And then down for the Southeast, it's some cooler temperatures. So those are the major things so far this morning. Brian, at least, like we just saw, it looks like a few raindrops just passed you, but hopefully you stay on the warmer side.
Well, the bad news is I did not bring an umbrella today. So once again, I'll get wet.
You have to get a poncho.
But at least I'm not that cold. Yeah, I do need a poncho here. Thank you so much. We'll see you back on America Sunrise here shortly, Tracy.
Sounds good.
All right, now to our top story. President Trump declaring a turnaround for the ages in his first State of the Union address in his second term last night. The president highlighting the economy, but also taking direct aim, at Democrats over illegal immigration. Take a look.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
A spicy moment there. The president arguing his policies have secured the border and blaming Democrats for years of chaos. But there were also a very different moment inside the chamber. Trump pausing his address to honor Charlie Kirk, drawing a standing ovation. Pretty much something to see. Take a look.
In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. We love religion, and we love bringing it back. And it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see.
All right, two very different moments, one sharp political contrast, one personal and reflective. Joining us now is from the White House is Neil McCabe, our political correspondent. You've got a wealth of knowledge. You've been in this city for a long time covering various occasions. What's some of the biggest takeaways from last night's speech?
I think the first thing is that it was a masterful performance. This is a man who has learned how to give a State of the Union. He was comfortable. He was reading off the teleprompter. He was going off script. He was the way his body language. This is a guy who is extremely comfortable in his environment and complete command of that room. And it was also very entertaining. Like, it was a fun speech. It was a fun show. I mean, the guests, the segments, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, of course, he made very strong political points. And I think the real messaging was to the House Republicans that don't run away from me, run with me. And this is the roadmap to victory for the midterms. And so those guys who are, cheering and clapping, those are people who are going to win. And the people sitting on their hands and scowling, they're the ones who are going to lose, Brian.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to note that each political point that the president brought up, he had facts, he had examples, he brought the receipts, so to say. I love the moments with the Angel Moms and, of course, the Congressional Medal of Honors that were given out in the shout-out to the U.S. hockey team. But he seemed to really focus on, for the first 90 minutes, the economy. Didn't get to foreign policy until about an hour and a half into the speech.
Yeah, I think it was almost an afterthought, the foreign policy, but I think he understands that, this is what people are talking about. This is what people have been told is a problem. And the economy, there's no objective view of the economy that says this is a problem. A year ago, they were promising huge inflation, right? They were talking about recessions. They were talking about all of these economic disasters. Literally did not happen. The economy is actually spinning like a top right now and really coming into a build, especially as his new policies are taking shape. And so he just needed people to understand that things are good. Just hold on, and we will win.
Yeah, and also his addressing the Democrats, I thought it was really particular. He's done that in the past, and of course he does it. We see it a lot here at the White House, but the way he would turn to that side of the chamber and just kind of look at him and pause and reflect and let the moment play out. And of course, Ilhan Omar, she shouted many of the different points in the speech, and I think that shows the American people that the Democrat Party, for the most part, not all of them, can't say that, but many just absolutely do not stand for what this country represents.
I'll give you a contrast. I was Tallahassee. I covered DeSantis in Florida. DeSantis is a guy who he tells a joke and then he drives on. He steps over his joke. He steps over his applause. DeSantis, he just wants to rush through it and get the speech over with. Trump let the room breathe. He let the moment breathe. He owned the moment. He didn't have to talk all the time. And he just sort of, the way he gestured at the Democrats, just showed a man in complete control, Brian.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift real quickly to foreign policy. I was waiting for him to address the Iranian situation with that. He did. He touched and go, didn't stay on it very long, kind of touch and go situation. What's your takeaway on that?
I think he needed to address it. I think he wants the negotiations in Oman to continue. What I'm watching is the USS Gerald R. Ford, which just pulled into Crete. And so I've just been watching. It was released from Venezuela, passed through the Straits of Gibraltar, and it's like this slow march. Once the Gerald R. Ford is on station at the exit of the Suez Canal, I think that's when the talking is over. You can't commit like a third of your Navy to a situation and not do anything about it. And so we'll have to wait and see, but it is the American style of war to let your enemy watch you build. And we build and we build, and that's when you talk. And then when we decide we're done, well, then the talking's over. But I look for there's fuel tankers. Obviously, the military needs fuel. They've moved like 40 fuel tankers into the area. I also look at the way they're moving the Patriot missile batteries. And so we'll see how it goes. I'm glad he addressed it. It could have gone a little deeper, but I think, the economy is important, and he has to really talk about that, which is what he did successfully.
And the last question, do you think some of the Republicans in both the House, in Congress and the Senate will get that message to deliver the agenda? And because obviously the overwhelming support from the other members in the chamber, and of course the American people, are they getting the message to get on board?
We'll see. What was interesting when he talked about the SAVE Act, he said something to the effect of, let's get this past John. And it reminded me of the way Reagan would turn to Tip O'Neill and say, hey, Tip, let's get this thing passed. But Tip O'Neill was a Democrat, like the leader of the Democratic Party, right? He talked to John as if he was the opposition leader, as if, why does Trump have to encourage the Republican majority leader to pass a bill? Like, why does he have to, Thune should be on board and on duty. And I think it revealed that the opposition to the SAVE Act comes from the Republican leadership in the Senate, and they're just going to have to figure that out. I think Trump moved the ball forward, but really, people need to, instead of criticizing Trump and the Trump administration, they should put the pressure on the Republicans on Capitol Hill to support this MAGA administration and get things done.
I agree. And there were certain things he said last night that actually the bills are sitting in Congress, hadn't been brought to the floor for a vote. So hopefully that gets Speaker Johnson ahead on that. Milt, McCabe, you're going to be here all day, like myself. We appreciate you joining us. But not everyone showed up for the State of the Union last night. Dozens of Democrats boycotting the address. No protest signs, no walkouts, just empty seats. Call it Trump derangement syndrome in quiet mode. We'll break it down after the break. And then the Clintons back on Capitol Hill, Bill and Hillary agreeing to testify in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Depositions, transcripts, a lot of questions. Let's just say this one should be very, very interesting. Stay with us.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry, like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
All right, welcome back, America Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. That is a live look at the Capitol. That's about 1.1 miles away from me as I stand right here in front of the White House. Good morning. Glad to have you with us. We're tracking the White House, the markets, and the stories shaping your day. And as always, we invite you to join the conversation on Getter, YouTube, Rumble. We're live. We're listening. And wherever, I said this the other day, and I got a lot of posts on this. Wherever you're watching us, take a picture of you and your family watching, or yourself, and we'll post that up on X. You can tag me at Brian Glenn TV. Here, a quick check on Wall Street as we head to the opening bell today. A strong rebound on Wall Street yesterday. The Dow up 370 points, closing at 49,174. The NASDAQ gaining 236, finishing at 22,863. Investors shaking off a recent sell-off as concerns over AI disruption has been eased somewhat. Crude oil settling at $65.63 a barrel, down about 1%. Natural gas closing just under $3 more than a 2% on warmer weather forecasts. And the 20-year Treasury yield at 4.63%. That's unchanged. And that is your market check. And as we head towards the opening bell, we'll update that to you when that happens. Now to our top story. Dozens of Democrats skipped the State of the Union, choosing boycotts as an alternative programming instead of attending the president's State of the Union address. Among them, Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey. Some call it a protest, others call it politics. President Trump calling them out. Take a listen.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
the moment there. Joining us now, John Deaton, Senate candidate in Massachusetts. He's a former federal prosecutor and former U.S. Marine. John, you're running for Senate that Markey holds. What message does the boycott send to the voters back in your district that he did not show up?
That he gets to play, and thank you for having me, Brian, that he gets to play by different rules than the rest of Americans who don't get to choose what day to go to work. Listen, it's called State of the Union, not State of the President. And Markey, by not attending, clearly demonstrated that he hates Donald Trump more than he loves America and Massachusetts. And it was an absolute shame. I mean, every president has taken of each party, they celebrate ordinary Americans who've done extraordinary things, whether it was the petty officer who saved hundreds of lives or the 99-year-old World War II veteran who turns 100 on July 4th, or the Medal of Honor recipients. The fact that Ed Markey was not there to celebrate these great Americans is an absolute shame.
And there were a lot of really kind of tear-jerking moments throughout that State of the Union address. What are some of the softer moments that stood out for you?
Well, obviously celebrating those Americans, someone who was shot, receiving the awards from the president as someone who served in the Marine Corps, those, tug at your heartstrings. But listen, there were so many positive messages that you could stand and celebrate, whether it is no hedge funds are going to outbid ordinary Americans who are trying to buy their house for the first time, or healthcare reform and providing full transparency of our drug prices, even the Trump accounts. I mean, Democrats like Ed Markey talk about the wealth gap. Well, the Trump accounts are an aggressive action that you should be able to celebrate. No tax on tips or no tax for senior citizens receiving their Social Security. All of those things are moments that, regardless of party, you should be able to stand up and celebrate and clap. And the fact that Ed Markey chose to put politics over people, is the biggest message that the voters should pay attention to.
Let's talk about those voters in your district. As you walk around and hit the campaign trail, what are they telling you is their number one concern right now in your area?
It is absolutely the lack of affordability. Americans can't afford homes. Average home prices in Massachusetts statewide is almost $700,000. Regular Americans are being priced out of the economy. Healthcare reform. These are the things that President Trump was talking about, for example. That's what people are on the street here in Massachusetts are talking about. And so Ed Markey's not here, not paying attention, and he hasn't lived in Massachusetts for 30 years. He's lived in Chevy Chase, Maryland. He's been absent in Massachusetts, so I guess it's fitting that he was absent at the State of the Union. But it really comes down to this affordability and regular Americans being priced out of the economy. Energy cost here, Brian, we pay nearly twice the electricity that the national average pays. We pay 75% higher natural gas bills, and we're seeing an exigent situation, a mass migration of hardworking Americans leaving Massachusetts because they can't afford to live here.
John Deaton, we appreciate you joining us this morning, the morning after the State of the Union. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
All right, moving on to international disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There is a never-ending list of reasons why you should invest in gold, over 700% in the last 20 years, and a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with the Birch Gold Group. Now, more than any other commodity on earth, gold thrives during uncertainty, which is why it's a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you a peace of mind given all the events that can impact the U.S. economy. Now, see if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text America to the number 989898 to receive your free information kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. Let the Birch Gold Group help you diversify with gold so you have a peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty. Now text America to 989898. Once again, information's on your screen. Text America to 989898. Do it today. All right, coming up, some Democrats couldn't make it to the State of the Union, but don't worry, the Clintons will definitely coming to Capitol Hill. Bill and Hillary set to testify in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Empty seats one night, hot seats the next. And then, Americans caught in the middle of the escalation cartel violence in Mexico. Project Dynamo on the ground preparing evacuations as the State Department urges shelter in place. Two very different stories, both with serious stakes. Stay with us on American Sunrise. Early edition from the White House continues.
They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rev has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rev. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rev.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
All right, welcome back. American Sunrise Early Edition. That is a live look at the Washington Monument. Beautiful morning. Exciting tap here. Glad you're with us this morning. We're tracking the headlines as always. We also invite you to join us in the conversation on Getter, YouTube, and Rumble. We're live. We're listening. So join us there. All right. Well, the Clintons are headed back to Capitol Hill. Former President Bill Clinton is set to testify on February 27th. Now, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton scheduled for February 26th, both appearing before the House Oversight Committee in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Joining us now is Eric Faddis. He is a criminal defense attorney. Eric, putting politics aside for just a second, if you were the Clintons' defense attorney, what would your first piece of advice be to them?
I would say keep the answers short. You don't need to volunteer additional information that you might get tripped up on later. It's easy to misstate things. It's easy to state something inartfully and then have that come back to bite you. And so keeping it short and sweet as possible, I think is the best approach.
Yeah. And of course, many did not think they would actually show up to this. I mean, when it was first I guess weeks ago discussed there was a potential. People said, oh, there's no way they're going to show up. But of course, when you get, subpoenaed, that's what you got to do. So what do you think we're going to learn from this? I know your advice is to not say much, but what can they say that would help them clear their name and any type of involvement with this? And what do you expect to hear from them?
My anticipation, Brian, is they are going to have a lot of memory issues up there. There's going to be a lot of responses of, "Oh, I don't recall. This was years or decades ago. My memory is not sharp on that." I think we're going to hear a lot of that. They're going to be asked about certainly their connections with Jeffrey Epstein, with other high-profile individuals who may have been named in those files. There are some compromising photos of Bill Clinton within those files, and certainly he'll be grilled upon those.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the evidence that's going to be shown in this hearing would, I guess, from a common, layman's approach for someone sitting at home, they could associate some of those images with some type of involvement. So how does that play out in the public court of opinion? No matter what they say, though, a lot of people have their preconceived notions of if they had involvement or not.
Bill Clinton has been nicknamed Slick Willie for better or for worse, and he's not too bad at these sort of public speaking opportunities. And so he could have an opportunity to score himself some points. But I think basically what he's going to get up there and say is, "Hey, I didn't have any involvement. I have no knowledge of sort of untoward or criminal activity." And unless there is information to rebut that, it's going to be difficult to sort of contradict this statement, years later from Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton that, "Hey, I didn't have any involvement. I didn't know what was going on."
No, so if anybody else was on that list, and I know they put out a list a couple of weeks ago, there were people like Janis Joplin, Elvis Presley. There were a lot of names on that list that just appeared somewhere in the investigation. It could have been a Newsweek article. It could have been any type of journalistic publication that their name was listed in association to the investigation. What would your advice be to those individuals that are not guilty of anything? They just got caught up perhaps in some of the name mentionings in an article. What would you proactively come out and put out a statement saying, "I was listed in the files, but here's why," to kind of get ahead of any other, contradictive narrative that would associate them with any type of wrongdoing?
I mean, hey, Brian, if their hands are clean, I would say, yeah, go for it. There's going to be a lot of collateral damage with the release of these files. There are going to be names referenced of people who had no involvement in wrongdoing whatsoever. We saw the skateboarder Tony Hawk. His name was in there somehow. He came out with a proactive statement saying, "Hey, I had no involvement in the Epstein saga. My name was simply referenced in relation to my marriage." And so I don't think it hurts to make a proactive statement, but you got to make sure there are no skeletons in the closet that could be unearthed in response to that statement.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that's a great example how when you first understood that, his name was in there, you thought, well, what in the world is that? So I do think that's great advice to come out and get ahead of it. Final thoughts on what we could expect to hear eventually later on this month for those two individuals?
What I'm interested to see, Brian, is whether either of them selectively invoke their Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. They have the right to do that, but you can usually only do that if there is a reasonable fear of future prosecution. So it gives rise to an inference, of course, that there could have been some untoward acts associated with that question. I'll be interested to see if they go there or if instead it's more of, I don't remember, I don't recall, I had no involvement. I think the latter might be more likely.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that at the end of the month. Eric, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. Now a word from one of our sponsors, Artillery Tea Company. They're the only America First veteran-owned tea brand. Their mission is simple: maximize flavor, whole leaf tea blends in chemical-free tea bags. No junk, just real tea. And here's the tactical advantage: each bag brews twice. So go to artillerytco.com. Use the promo code RAV for your first 10% off your first order, rather. That's artillerytco.com. Premium tea, mission-driven, brewed for the brave. Coming up, Americans caught in the middle of the escalation cartel violence in Mexico. U.S.-based rescue operation team, boots on the ground, evacuations taking place. We've got requests pouring in from the State Department to saying shelter in place. We'll speak with one of the teams on the ground to bring Americans home. And then we head to our Denver newsroom. A busy morning, coast to coast, the stories unfolding, the stories you need to know. Will get you up to speed. All that on the other side of the break as the early edition continues in a few.
They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
All right, welcome back, American Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn coming to you live from the White House. Glad you're joining us. We invite you to join the conversation as well on Getter, YouTube, and Rumble. We're live and we're listening. Let's head over to the Denver newsroom for the very latest headlines with Terrance Bates. Good morning, Terrance.
Hey, Brian, good morning. So, look, obviously, like most people, we're going to be talking about the State of the Union this morning. I want to keep Brian up because I'm just looking here at the president's schedule, Brian, 9 a.m. executive time. I don't know about you, Brian, but after a 2-hour-long speech, my executive time would be all day. I'd be taking a nap and trying to rest up from last night. But President Trump, not that kind of guy. At 11, he's going to have a policy meeting. Then at 3 this afternoon, looks like he's got a meeting with Secretary Transportation, and then he's got another policy meeting this evening. So another full day of work for President Trump after his first State of the Union address last night. It's the first of his second term there in office, and the president really focused on all kinds of issues. It was a wide-ranging speech, Brian, addressing issues both domestic as well as foreign. On the issue of nuclear Iran, the commander-in-chief leaving no question about his position, Brian.
We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
And when it comes to putting America first, the president was similarly emphatic, even showing his disgust for Democratic opponents.
First duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal
By the way, Brian, 47 speech last night set a new record for the longest State of the Union address. As I said, it was just around 2 hours. Mostly when we kind of assess a State of the Union speech, we look at tone, we look at style, we look at substance. I think many people will argue this morning that it was a home run on all three fronts.
It was. I mean, for about 90 minutes, you kind of took a victory lap, if you will, Terrance, and made a stark contrast between the Biden administration and the economy and what we were dealing with, and the Trump administration and the economy and what we're dealing with. And he inherited a horrible economy and really it is a disastrous presence on the world stage, foreign policy-wise. But last night, and that was one of my favorite moments, actually. I like when he let the moment play out when something like that would happen. And, of course, calling them out. Because people at home, Terrance, you and I both know, they're asking themselves, why aren't they standing up for some of the most basic, fundamental issues in this country, the feel-good issues, the things that they were sworn in to defend, and they simply were not standing up?
It was a strategic move, I believe. I think he knew they weren't going to stand up, and so he baited them and then hit them with the right cross, and it was really a knockout blow because it showed how ridiculous they are. How can you not stand up for putting Americans first? That's such a basic tenet, and I think he called him out on it. Before we let you go, Brian, another moment from last night, the Democratic response to the State of the Union. It, of course, was delivered by Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. However, it was Congressman Al Green of Texas who made the headlines for being escorted out of the State of Union address. It's the second year in a row that the Texas Democrat was removed from the president's joint address to Congress. As he was being walked out of the House chamber, Green waved a sign that read, "Black people aren't apes." That sign, of course, referring to a social media post by the president depicting former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. The post ultimately was deleted. Green has been one of the president's most vocal critics, as you well know. He's even spearheaded impeachment efforts against the president, both in the previous term as well as in this particular term. It's one of the lowlights from last night's speech, going to show how divisive and divided this government is right now.
Yeah, and if you notice there were a couple camera shots of Rashida Tlaib. She had an ICE button on her jacket there, dropping the F-bomb on that. I thought that was hugely inappropriate. And of course, I think the sign, you can't have signs on the floor of the chamber anyway. Right. You can't wear a hat either. And I know that there was a couple members in there with kind of red hats, if you will. But it's such a moment, though. My biggest takeaways were the good parts. I know it's easy for us to kind of focus on some of the most, conflicting messages coming from the Democrats. But I liked the message last night. It took about 90 minutes until we got to foreign policy, which I think is important. He really hammered home domestic issues. And what about the hockey team? What about them coming down from the rafters, making an appearance? That was pretty cool, too.
Absolutely. Hey, Brian, just to wrap it up, one of the things that I don't think I don't remember seeing at previous State of the Unions is people getting awards right there on the floor. People on the spot being recognized and getting awards, getting medals. That's not something I don't think I've seen ever. And if so, it definitely wasn't as memorable as last night.
Yeah. I mean, what a touching moment. You've got families that have lost loved ones, and when the National Guard and then the other gentleman, his name has escaped me right now, getting a medal. It was just a great moment, and I think that's what the State of the Union is about. I don't think it's all about just making a speech. I think it's highlighting, it's setting the tone, and President Trump is a master at that. And it's almost like, and I described this last night, Terrance, that he took a lot of the rally campaign speeches, put them together, inserted some, he brought the receipts, he brought examples of what he's talking about. And I thought he had a lot of hope, a lot of real. He spoke to the American people, spoke to the Democrats. Overall, I think it was one of his best speeches. And like you said, I've been with this man for a long time. I've heard thousands, if not, thousands of speeches. This is one of his best.
Absolutely. Brian, always good to talk to you, my friend. You look cold out there, so I'm going to let you go. So hopefully you can get in and get some hot chocolate and get warmed up.
You got it, Terrance. We'll see you a little bit later this morning. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Developing this morning, the reported killing of the Mexican drug cartel leader El Mencho could trigger a new wave of violence across Mexico. Parts of the country set on fire, roadblocks, armed clashes breaking out. The U.S. State Department is urging Americans to shelter in place. Some U.S. citizens in Puerto Vallarta say they are trapped as conditions worsen. U.S.-based veteran-led rescue group Project Dynamo is on the ground and preparing for possible evacuations. Joining us now is Mike Disman, Operations Director and Chief Planning Officer with Project Dynamo. Mike, how serious is the situation right now in Mexico?
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you for letting us tell our story and making sure the American people know that we're here. It's greatly appreciated. So I think we're waiting for things to develop, and this is the part where things actually are probably the most critical is we don't know. The situation's vague. It's not well defined. And that's when I think we're the most useful. And so we're poised to move by ground, by sea, and by air now. I've been on the ground since Monday and was working through the maritime solution. So we're implementing the same kind of plan we did in Israel over the summer, so we can move pretty much as many people as need to move out of here as we would have to support. So we have about 100 people right now requesting, and we're working on a group that might have another 100 to 150 people that need to move.
Give me an idea, Mike. What is behind you? I'm kind of looking at the monitor.
This is one of the burned out buildings. This is one of the burned out buildings. I know it's kind of dark, but we thought it'd be useful to show that there is destruction here, that the situation is vague. And when we're in this area where things aren't well defined, this is again where our Dynamo team works best. We got a few decades worth of special forces and special operations experience on the ground all over the globe. We've been in 41 countries. We've evacuated more than 7,500 people since I actually started out in August 2021 during the Afghanistan collapse. I was spearheaded some of the first people evacuated out of Afghanistan, and Dynamo evolved from one of the groups that I was volunteering in.
Yeah, Mike, I can imagine Americans trapped there right now, especially as it was unfolding just a couple of days ago. I have one American friend that has a medical practice down there. Luckily, he was in the States when everything broke out, but he said his clients that were down there were terrified, were afraid to get in a taxi or anything to try to go to the airport in fear that they might be, sometime kidnapped or whatever. But final thoughts on that. If someone watching us right now has a loved one down in that area, what do you recommend them doing? What's a step? What's some action they can take?
So the embassy's recommending that people shelter in place, go about your business, but don't go too far from where you're at, and register with Project Dynamo on our website, projectdynamo.net. And I guess the last thing I'd say is, the evacuations we're doing now are possible because of donations that we got last week and last month. And so for us to continue performing this mission that we're really very, very good at, people, if they feel like it, can donate to the cause and support us, projectdynamo.net.
There you go, the website. Everyone, I just encourage people to pray for as well. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, such a volatile situation. All right, coming up, the morning news cycle is moving fast. Nuclear talks with Iran set to resume in Geneva as the U.S. builds up military forces in the Middle East. President Trump warning of, quote, bad things if Tehran refuses to roll out a nuclear weapon. We'll get you what you need to know and what's breaking. That's straight ahead on an early edition here on America Sunrise.
Say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame. Sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers.
Truth bomb, tick, tick, truth bomb.
talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
All right, welcome back, American Sunrise Early Edition. Brian Glenn here, coming to you live from the White House. President Trump addressing Iran during his State of the Union address, saying that talks are underway, but warning he will never allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Take a listen.
We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
The U.S. and Iran are set to meet Thursday, that'll be tomorrow, in Geneva for another round of nuclear negotiations. Joining us now, American Sunrise host David Brody, to kind of break this down. David, we'll get to that. We'll get to the State of the Union here in just a second. But what do you think about that stance that we will never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon?
It won't change. And this is not just President Trump, Brian, that said this, right? It's been past presidents. It's kind of been the mantra of the United States government as it relates to Iran. So, that's obviously, first of all, not going to change. And as for Trump, peace through strength, right? I mean, this is not a president with an itchy trigger finger. I mean, this has been going on for a while now. I mean, he does it. This is not nation building if he does this in Iran. This is not a prolonged war. Tucker Carlson had said 20,000 were going to die. American troops were going to die if Operation Midnight Hammer went through back in July. That didn't happen. Look, this president understands that is not what MAGA wants, and that is not what he wants. And so I think if he does it, it's going to be surgical and it's going to be quick. It's not going to get us down into a quagmire. I think we're just waiting for it to happen, and I think it's going to, Brian.
Biggest takeaways from last night. Lots of moments. What were some of the few that stood out to you?
Well, obviously, the moment that everybody's talking about, and it was the moment of all moments, which is, and I'll just read you the line just so I've got it exact. He said, please stand. If you believe in this, the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. And Democrats sat on their hands. Game, set, match. There you go. That's the end of that. But here's the thing. To me, and I think what was more subtle, and I say subtle But this is what my takeaway, which is that he led with the economy and he pretty much did domestic issues for most of the speech. The foreign policy stuff was at the end. It was like not even a third of the speech. I don't want to call it a throwaway, but in a way it kind of was. And I think that sends a signal to not just MAGA, but in the midterms that he's going to be much more domestic policy focused. And I think he understands, and this White House understands, that if you're going to win the midterms, you got to get on the ball on that specifically. Look, they've done a lot of great things, but I think you have to, from a PR perspective, lead with that and show that. And I think they did that last night.
All right, David Brody, we'll see you in about 5 minutes on the other side of the hour. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
And thank you for tuning in. We'll be back here tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern, for another edition. Goodbye and God bless. We'll see you next time.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday. Democrats are going to be skipping the President's State of the Union. We're expecting, guys, that he's going to talk about the affordability crisis. He'll talk about the economy. And, of course, the president will use the stage, one would imagine, to tout all of his accomplishments so far in this second administration. What are your expectations, David? What is it that you want to hear? And do you even care that the Democrats aren't going to be there or that some Democrats won't be there?
No, I don't think the conversation around the dinner table is like, honey, have you heard Adam Schiff is not going to be there tonight? No. Who cares about that? Look, I'll be honest with you. Can I just kind of sidetrack for a second and just say I'm really excited for the USA men's hockey team to be at the State of the Union tonight. I would love them to take the Democrat seats, but I don't think that's probably going to happen. The point is that they will be in the House, and that will be exciting. I'm telling you, that is going to be a moment tonight for sure.
Let's lay odds, Congressman. Do you think the president will ad-lib, or will he stick to the script tonight? What are the odds he goes off script tonight?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on American Sunrise. And I think it would be a pretty safe bet that he goes off script a little bit.
What do you expect him to focus on? What do you expect the headlines to be tomorrow?
I think he'll focus on the great American comeback. The State of the Union is good and it's getting better. It has been a remarkable 13 months of this president's second term in office, working at a pace that is really unbelievable and in contrast, such stark contrast to his predecessor who slept his way through the 4 years of his presidency.
Congressman, let's talk tariffs. I would imagine that President Trump is going to address the tariff situation in the Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs. But let's just be honest. Those tariffs and tariff policy have been critical in the president's handling of situations around the world. It is a key tool that he's used. What are you expecting him to say? How are you expecting the administration to change its policies or change its approach to tariffs? We've already seen some of that.
Well, I think the president is going to express his frustration with the Supreme Court, and it is disappointing to see the ruling that they came down with. I think the best answer would be for Congress to step up and give the president the authority he needs to continue to open markets and improve circumstances for American workers, getting us access to these markets around the world and creating more self-sufficiency here at home. That would be the best answer. But I think this president is determined, and so I think they will find a way to do what needs to get done, and so I look forward to that.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Through every every storm, every moment of uncertainty.
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
Ahead on American Sunrise, the big takeaways from President Trump's first State of the Union speech of his second term. We'll have reaction and the big takeaways from the address, including live reports and analysis from the nation's capital. Plus, President Trump draws a clear and deep line in the sand when it comes to Iran. This morning, the Islamic regime is responding ahead of critical talks set for Geneva, Switzerland tomorrow. So could we actually see a deal, or will this end with bombs dropping over Tehran? And later, cartel chaos in Mexico as Americans remain stranded south of the border. What's being done to bring them home? Those stories and so much more right now on American Sunrise.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. G. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C., and T. Bates is in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Gina. T. Bates.
Happy post-State of the Union.
Yeah, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say I'm still a little tired. I was up late last night, and I don't think I got much sleep because, as I was telling David in the break, my mind was racing all night, just trying to take it all in and unpack what we heard, David.
Yeah, the State of the Union, President Trump says is strong. The state of this morning, I'm feeling a little weak, quite frankly. But we got a lot to get to, folks. I was about to call you both gentlemen.
Absolutely.
What am I doing? I'm so misogynist. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
See, that's what happens when you stay up late and watch the State of the Union. So look, let's just be honest. One of the highlights was the president calling out Democrats for defending illegal aliens. In case you missed this clip, here it is, and I'm just going to put it out there. You're going to see this a lot today, folks.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
If you missed any of that, don't even worry about it. You're going to hear it at least 4 more times throughout this show. And I think most major news networks, most news networks that are credible will probably be playing that as well. I am going to get to you guys, but also wanted to show this one moment, I'm going to call it a moment, in which the president honored Charlie and Erica Kirk.
In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. We love religion, and we love bringing it back. And it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see.
Dr. Gina, I apologize. I think you were saying something just a moment ago, and I interrupted you, so please go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, I guess those Democrats sitting there when he talked about caring about American citizens, that was the most shocking thing I've ever seen, Terrance. I don't know how, I just can't imagine the brainwashing groupthink that goes into making people who are supposed to be representatives of America sit through a potential cheer for Americans who elected them. I don't know about you, David. I felt like it was the biggest miss of the Democrats that I maybe have seen ever.
The biggest miss and the biggest reveal at the same time. And I think that's the key takeaway. I mean, look, they couldn't even stand for a grieving mother, the mother of Irina Zarutska, who, of course, was murdered in Charlotte. I mean, come on. I mean, this is the choice in front of Americans. And look at the sex transitioning stuff that he talked about last night. Yeah. He said, you people are crazy. He said, these people are crazy that they couldn't stand and agree with the fact that maybe you shouldn't sex transition minors at such a young age and let the parents have the say, not the state. I mean, so here we are. It's once again a revolution of common sense, and it's going to be a midterms about common sense. The question is, will the economy play along with that? And if not, the Republicans will be in trouble, and that's the truth of the matter.
And the U.S. hockey team. I'm sorry.
Oh, beautiful.
I mean, these are moments that are woven in the fiber of America, and how the Democrats, I just think this was such a bad optic for them last night. So bad, beyond bad. You know, when you were in a mano-a-mano fight, you know, and the one guy is gracious to the other guy, that's disarming. They could have played that card, and it would have confused the American people, and it would have brought some heartstrings, you know, for them to show up, to sit there, to stay awake, to clap for our hockey team, and the children who are dead, right? Their parents sitting there to bother to give them reverence, and they couldn't even do that. It tells America these people are small, they're petty, they're jealous, they're insidious, they're brainwashed. It was just, I'm in disbelief. Honestly, I thought they would sit there and look gracious, and they did exactly the opposite. We should pray for them, because the Bible says to pray for our enemies, so we should really pray for them. First Thessalonians Chapter 5, verse 18 says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. That means every circumstance. Let's bring in Missouri Congressman Mark Alford. Congressman, I can't fathom having been there last night. It would have taken every piece of decency in my body. Apparently there's not a lot, because I would have gone straight over to those people who were sitting there with that dead child's mother and couldn't stand and clap for her, couldn't clap for our hockey team, couldn't cheer for the American people. Congressman, how do you work with these people?
Well, Dr. Gina, Dave, and Terrance, thanks for having me on again. Look, you know, President Trump has been accused in the past of dividing the nation. It's not President Trump dividing the nation. The nation is already divided. And you saw it last night, those who want to put America first and those who want to put illegal aliens first. That's evident in the deportation and repatriation of some 2.5 million illegals already. Under President Trump's watch. The left does not like that. It is clear, if it is not clear to the American people already after watching that, even if you are a liberal progressive Democrat, it should be very clear that Republicans and President Trump are putting America first through policies through actions and through words. This was the best speech I think President Trump has delivered since in his second term. And I think it will go down as a line of demarcation of where we move forward as a country. And I'm so proud that he was able to tout the accomplishments of America, to bring true, real American heroes in the gallery and recognize them for what they have accomplished and what we can accomplish as a nation. We live in the greatest nation known to man. And it's time for folks to get on board with the program, put your Trump derangement syndrome behind you, and get on board with a program of putting America first.
That's such a great way to put it. Yeah, that is such important words. Listen, here's the thing. What I noticed in this speech, and I'm going to percentage-wise ballpark this out, it was like 80-20, maybe 90-10 domestic issues. He threw foreign policy in there at the end. I think that's telling. I think he put it at the end of the speech. I think he understands. He's done a lot domestically, obviously, in this country, but you have a PR issue too. You got to sell it. And he's the best PR ad agency in the world. It's called DJT Inc. And he has to do that. And I thought he did that. He led with the economy, and he pretty much talked about domestic issues. He went America first and put the foreign policy stuff, which I believe also is America first, but he put that secondary, and I thought that was crucial.
And David gave some real life examples of people who are benefiting from the one big beautiful bill. The Democrats came up with this affordability term because they were out of everything else after complaining about the Medicaid cuts. That didn't really stick. So we're now on affordability. The Democrats made America unaffordable. They made housing unaffordable with the climate scam, the Green New Scam, and new regulations that places like Kansas City adopted and raised the price of a home by 25%. Illegal aliens who flooded our nation, taking up rental spaces. And now that those 2.5 have been deported or left, rental prices are starting to drop. We have so much to look forward to because of the benefits of the one big beautiful bill. It is not nearly done at all. It's just beginning to boil on the stove. We're about to cook some pasta with this economy. I had a constituent named Melvin who called me last week, 76 years old. He is so excited because his daughter's a hairstylist. His son-in-law works a lot of overtime. They have not gotten a refund from the IRS in years. This year, they've already gotten a check for $12,000. That is real money that's going to be pumped into the economy. It's not going to be sitting on the sidelines. The economy is juiced, ready to go, and affordability will not be an issue in my estimation by the time the midterms roll around.
Well, can you put me in contact with Melvin's daughter? I need some help here when it comes to my hairstyle.
He wants his bills
alone. Yeah, and since they've got some extra money, if they can, slide some my way, I'd appreciate that as well. Congressman, I'm curious if you've had any conversations with your colleagues or plan to have conversations specific to President Trump, if you will, calling members of Congress, specifically the Senate, to task over action. He, of course, called out the U.S. Senate when it comes to the Save America Act, saying there needs to be action. He also called on Congress to codify some of the moves that he's made in the White House. So what have those conversations been? There's work to be done, and it's clear that the president wants it to get done.
Well, it's a very important business to save our republic through election integrity. The Save America Act, we're on board with that. We passed it in the House. It's up to John Thune, the leader of the Senate, now to put it on the floor, get it done with or without a filibuster. I don't care. It's got to pass. We've got to make sure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. And when you show up at the polls, you better have an ID. Dr. Gina, I come from the show me state. You show up at the polls, show me your ID. Yeah. We've got to make sure that only U.S. citizens are voting. And some will say, well, there wasn't a lot who voted in past elections. There were some. And John Duarte was here in town. He lost his seat. Good friend of mine came in my class in the 118th and lost by like 176 votes in his seat in California. Every vote matters. And when you have, I don't care if it's 10 illegal aliens or 100,000 illegal aliens, they are making a difference. And we've got to make sure our elections have integrity.
Yeah, the show me state, indeed. Congressman, you said that about the Democrats being more for illegal aliens than Americans. The reality is it's a serf situation. They want to use illegal aliens for votes because they can't get the American people to vote for them. So this is all about serving self, which is a terrifying place to be in our republic. Congressman Mark Alford, thanks for pointing to it. All right.
Thanks, Congressman.
Get a nap.
Yes.
All right, I will. Y'all look tired? Okay.
I think we all are. All right, coming up next, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom with Terrance Bates. And also later, ending the Russia-Ukraine war. The conflict has entered its 5th year. We're closer to seeing an end to that. We're going to break it down for you on American Sunrise.
They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers.
Truth bomb,
Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
RAV has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore. Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with RAV. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Kansas City, everybody, on a Wednesday. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. How about that State of the Union last night? And President Trump talking about Somali pirates. That drove Ilhan Omar insane. He said Somali pirates, here's the quote, Somali pirates had ransacked Minnesota through bribery and corruption. Oh, my goodness. Well, that was quite a moment. A lot of moments, and T. Bates has got some of those in the Real America's Voice newsroom. I'll say it. I'm working on a couple hours sleep. It's all sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join
President Trump's first State of the Union address of his second term was wide-ranging, addressing a host of issues, both domestic and foreign. On the issue of a nuclear Tehran, the commander-in-chief left no question about his position.
We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
And when it comes to putting America first, the president similarly emphatic, even showing his disgust for Democratic opponents.
First duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. It Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
47 speech, by the way, lasted a record nearly 2 hours. It's the longest State of the Union address on record. Wow. The Democratic response to the State of the Union was delivered by Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. However, Congressman Al Green making the headlines this morning for being escorted out of the State of the Union address. You can see it happening here. It's the second year in a row the Texas Democrat was removed from the president's joint address to Congress. As he was being walked out of the House chamber, Green waved a sign that read, "Black people aren't apes." That sign, of course, refers to a social media repost by the president depicting former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. The post was initially deleted, or eventually deleted. Green has been one of the president's most vocal critics. He's even spearheaded impeachment efforts against the president in his previous term as well as in the current term. That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll have more headlines coming your way in just a little bit. But now, let's get a quick check of your forecast from Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. By the way, a quick reminder, go to our various social media platforms, Getter, Rumble, YouTube. Let us know where you're hanging out, and Tracy might hook you up with a hometown forecast in our next hour. Good morning, Tracy.
Hey, good morning, Terrance. I got a question for you, because after this storm has wrapped up, we got in this video, and do you have dogs?
Do I have dogs? No, we've got a guide dog, but that's a long, complicated story that we don't have time for.
Well, you know, I was just thinking, who shoveled that? And they made like a little path all through the yard. It's a lot of snow, and you know, that's a pretty ambitious goal for all of the snow they have. And actually today, this morning, the Northeast has another clipper system that's rolling on through, so it's not going to be anything compared to the nor'easter that impacted us Sunday, Monday, but areas like New York City, Boston, picking up more snow. So we're expecting just a couple of inches here as the system moves pretty quickly. So just a few trouble spots there, but it had me thinking, you know, in New York, how do they get rid of the snow? So I was, you know, you take trucks and get it out of the city, but they actually have big hot tubs or big tubs that melt the snow. I didn't know if you knew that. I learned that today. It's really cool.
Wow, they have big tubs that melt. Okay, hey, whatever works. As long as you get the snow away, whatever works.
Isn't that smart? Yeah.
That is very smart. That's cool. I might see if I can invest in one of those myself so I don't have to shovel. But that's also a whole nother story that we don't have time to get into. Tracy, good to talk to you. Appreciate it, and we'll check in with you next hour.
Sounds good.
All right. Up next, President Trump touched on tensions with Iran during his State of the Union address. Well, this morning, Iran is calling for, quote, honorable diplomacy ahead of talks tomorrow in Geneva. Can there be honorable diplomacy with a regime that has a history of funding terror? We'll have expert analysis ahead. First, though, a quick look at this day in history. It was on this day in 1964 that a young Cassius Clay shocked the world by knocking out heavyweight champion Sonny Liston to win his first world title in what many still call the biggest upset in boxing history. The 22-year-old underdog, who would soon be known as Muhammad Ali, delivered a 7th-round technical knockout and forever changed the sport. The stunning victory launched one of the greatest careers in American sports history and a legacy of grit, confidence, and undeniable greatness that still resonates more than 6 decades later. I shook the world! More American Sunrise coming your way in 2 minutes.
This
holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
Gotta like this music. 1974, little Barry White. That's Fort Worth, Texas. That's not Barry White. Whatever, it's funky. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. All right, it's about to get funky in Iran. President Trump spoke on that situation with Iran during his State of the Union address. This is what he had to say. Take a look.
They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After midnight hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
All right, for analysis, let's bring in retired Navy SEAL officer and the Chief Talent Officer for Overwatch Mission Critical. That would be our good friend, Mike Sorelli. Mike, look, he was understated on Iran last night. He kind of buried it at the end of the speech. It wasn't provocative. That suggests to me that a strike is imminent. I'm going 100%. Where are you on it?
Yeah, I've been saying this for weeks. It's coming. So we see internal unrest within Iran. The Islamic Republic is at the weakest point in our lifetimes. It is an evil regime, regardless of the nuclear weapons. They are the largest state sponsor of terrorism. So the EU wants this. The Gulf cooperation states want this. This is good for the world. And what it brings is potential peace to the Middle East that we've never seen again in our lifetime. So it is imminent. We're just waiting for the Gerald Ford carrier strike group to get in place, and all the chess pieces will be to Trump's avail.
So there's more diplomatic talks slated for tomorrow in Geneva following the State of the Union. One of the Iranian officials saying that President Trump's remarks about Iran were disinformation and misinformation. There's also this I-24 headline which says Iran is poised to acquire advanced Chinese anti-ship missiles. It cites a Reuters report. The missiles would be capable of flying low at supersonic speeds and evade ship defenses. So all this diplomacy, these talks, is this really just Iran trying to buy time specifically in order to prepare itself?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. So, this is par for the course for Iran. They will smile with diplomacy and lie right behind their teeth. So what they're doing is they're not negotiating in good faith. To Terrance's point, they are buying time to not only harden their defenses, to move leaders across Iran into to hardened positions, but also strengthen their proxies. So if we do strike, Israel has to be well prepared for strikes from Hezbollah and what remnants of Hamas remain. But ultimately, guys, this is going to be an aerial campaign. This is not going to be boots on the ground. And to compare Iraq and Iran and the regime change are two wildly different things. If you look or if you study history, the 60s and 70s in Iran, they are more westernized. They're more technologically advanced than Iraq. We've got the Shah's son. There will be an interim government. The people will take control, and they will move towards free and democratic elections.
Mike, the war between Russia and Ukraine just entered its 5th year. Are we any closer to seeing an end to this conflict, do you think?
No. Guys, we have to accept the fact that this is a war of attrition, and Russians have the ability to endure pain. Look back to the Napoleonic invasion of Russia. Alexander I, the Tsar, burned down Moscow. That is how drastic Russians are. They are a cold, hard people. Putin is watching to see what goes around the world. He's watching if he needs to outweight Trump for another Biden 2.0, which will allow him to take more territory in Ukraine. And additionally, EU, which feels Russia is the biggest threat by proximity, they are unaligned. They are chaotic. The globalists have taken control of the EU and NATO, and he knows that if they are not aligned, if he waits them out, he potentially takes Ukraine.
Yep. I mean, Trump wants the art of the deal, but it's really about what Putin wants, and he doesn't want the art of the deal. Mike Sorelli, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Great to be with you guys.
All right. Listen, before we go to break, let's change gears, talk about Medicare. A lot of folks aren't getting the full story, so we want to give it to you here. Most Medicare agents push Medicare Advantage plans, even when they're not right for you. So why is that? Well, because that's where the money is for them. But seniors are paying the price, and that's what makes Chapter different. They're going to walk you through Original Medicare, these Medigap Medicare Advantage plans, and Part D with the pros and the cons. It's all laid out. You can make the right call for your health needs. Donna said her chapter advisor walked her through every option and explained everything in a way that she could actually understand. Plus, they saved her thousands of dollars. They're going to dumb it down, and I'm all for dumbing it down. If you're on Medicare or will be soon, this is what you do. You call 814-CHAPTER to learn about enrollment options and find ways to save. First of all, it's free. It's also quick. They can review your options in like under 20 minutes. Most people wish they had called sooner. So once again, Chapter, that's where you go. All right, coming up, weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy have become popular tools, but how concerned are people about the side effects? Those facts next when American Sunrise rolls on a Wednesday.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
Well, that's not too far from where our Denver headquarters is at Real America's Voice. And it's a kind of an overcast, cloudy, sort of dismal looking day, if we're really honest about it, right? Not so much here in Florida. It'll be sunny. You guys can come visit. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us. Time now for today's health news, sponsored by The Wellness Company and Under the Microscope today. A new study finds most people taking weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy say the benefits are worth the side effects. The study appeared in the Journal of Medical Internet Research, and it said patients reported losing significant weight and having a smaller appetite, even though some experienced the side effects. The drugs, which contain semaglutide, are used to treat obesity and type 2 diabetes by helping control blood sugar and hunger. Researchers say demand continues to grow as more patients decide the results outweigh the risks. Certainly seen a lot of evidence of that. It seems like fewer people are overweight anymore, and no matter how you slice it, that's a good thing. February is National Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Now more than ever, you want to be asking what you can do to lower your chances of cancer, right? So if you or a loved one is already battling cancer, we want to make sure that no stone is left unturned. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know the Wellness Company. We have their great doctors on, like Dr. Kelly Victory and Dr. Peter McCullough. The Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals, so you can trust them. They're committed to providing safe, low-cost alternatives to big pharma, whether it's ivermectin, methylene blue, their fantastic new product, Shield, so much more. The Wellness Company wants to help you make the promise of the MAHA movement a reality in your life. This February, let's take control of our health. Go to twc.health/RAV, give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. That'll save you 10%. Prepare now. Don't wait. Right, T. Bates?
Absolutely. I'm not going to wait. In fact, the moment I get a quick break and I'm off camera, I'm going to go in on my phone and see if I can log in. Not really. I'm just going to wait till you try it, Dr. Gina, to be honest with you. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, it worked for Dr. Gina. Okay, then I'll go ahead and do it. So look, Dr. Gina, I want you to stick around because we're going to have a conversation about these Montanans who are currently stranded in Mexico as the U.S. State Department has issued a shelter-in-place order due to ongoing cartel violence and government operations in multiple states there in Mexico. Travel disruptions have left Americans unable to leave resort areas, with airlines canceling flights and some flight routes even turning back. Senator Tim Sheehy's office is assisting families impacted, and the U.S. Embassy has advised travelers to avoid crowds, stay alert, and keep loved ones updated on their safety. Let's bring in Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen to talk more about this. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning.
All right, put into perspective for us how this situation is all playing out. And I guess more importantly, are you getting cooperation from the Mexican government, from Mexican officials to help bring many of these Americans home, many of these Montanans specifically in your case home?
Well, thus far, I don't know of any specific information about the Mexican government. I know Senator Sheehy's office has been very involved in this. We're obviously coordinating with the U.S. State Department because that's who's in charge of situations like this. But look, the breakdown is this is horrible. We've got Montanans who are down on vacation, folks that I personally know, folks that work in our state capitol that are now stranded in a lot of these cartel war-torn areas. I personally seen video and pictures of folks from Montana looking out their window and there's cartel violence and fires right outside their window. So this is obviously quite concerning to us. We want our citizens back. We're hopeful that the Mexican government will cooperate, but I think that's a matter for the State Department to try to work out.
Yeah, it's very regional, isn't it? Because I talked to some of my friends down in Mexico. I used to live right on the border and have a lot of friends down there. And they were telling me that they're not seeing anything, but they were closer to the border. They're Tijuana area, right outside of San Diego there. So it kind of depends on where you are.
No, I think that's exactly right. I actually have some sources, much like you just said, that are near the border, that were maybe planning on making a quick day trip over. They're not seeing what we're seeing in the Puerto Vallarta area, in the Guadalajara area. What's concerning to me is when you have cartels raiding and taking over an airport and really disrupting international air travel.
So
that's a ramp up. That's a ramp up from what we've seen.
So is this targeting tourists? Because Puerto Vallarta and what was the other one you said? Those are really high level tourist areas. Is this the cartels trying to have some impact by really terrorizing tourist zones and costing the Mexican government money?
Well, it's hard not to think that, right? But remember what this is at its core is this is now a turf war, right? We've taken out one of the heads of one of the newer, more bloodthirsty and more vicious cartels, the New Generation Jalisco, which, by the way, has a major foothold in Montana. So this touches us. We know that cartel very well. The head off that snake has been chopped off. You've now got other cartels, and I would suspect other members of that same cartel now fighting over turf, fighting over who's in charge. I think that's largely what you're seeing, but you're also going to see them lashing out, looking for leverage, and that's what concerns us. That's why we want to get our people out of there and get them home.
You must have been reading my mind, because I was going to ask about whether there's a concern there in Montana that some of this violence would potentially leak over or sneak into Montana. Yeah, you're not directly at the border, but let's just be honest here. These days, almost every state and every city is a border state and a border city, and the impacts can be felt there.
Look, absolutely. Just in 4 years of Joe Biden, just in Montana, our state law enforcement fentanyl seizures went up 20,000%. Fentanyl overdose deaths in those same 4 years went up 2,000%. All of our violent crime has gone up. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but I can tell you if they were on a chart, that chart would look like this. All of our violent crime has gone up. Now that Donald Trump's in office, all that has tapered off pretty significantly. I mean, this is not long division, but we've certainly seen an uptick in cartel activity and cartel violence. We had a double homicide that we investigated in Montana, happened on one of our Indian reservations, and it turns out it was directly related to cartels. It was a cartel hit. So this is happening in little old Montana.
Yeah, help us understand, because I think that cartel mentality is so foreign, no pun intended, to Americans who can't. I remember living over there and hearing about the cartels and how the cartels pay off the government, they pay off the police, they'll go kill their families if the police don't operate the way the cartel wants them to. They have a lot of power. They're almost like a co-governance, right, in Mexico. Then during the Biden administration, he basically wrote them a blank check and said, hey, anything you guys want to do, here's the money. You can human traffic, you can traffic produce, you can traffic whatever you want. We're not going to do anything about it. We're not going to do anything about the tunnels we know about. We're not going to do anything about the drugs we know about. So he gave them a blank check, which meant the cartels not only made billions of dollars with a big B, but also proliferated all over the United States and infiltrated the United States. What does this mean? Because now the cartels have the money and the power to buy off American politicians. To what degree has that happened? And what does this really mean for the future of cartels' activities in the United States? Does President Trump cutting off the border really impact that power? Because they have a lot of money.
President Trump closing up and sealing up the southern borders, that importance cannot be overstated. We don't want that kind of governance, that kind of crime, that level of organized crime in America. The good news is I don't think it's here. I mean, we certainly haven't seen it in Montana, but I keep in close contact with my counterparts in Texas and Arizona. We're not seeing it down there either, thank God. Because you're exactly right. This is an entirely corrupt organization. And I hate to say it, Mexico, in my opinion, is now an almost entirely corrupt country. The only reason they've done what they have in the last few days, my opinion, is that President Trump told them, you either do some cleaning up of your house or we're going to come in there and do it for you. Mexico obviously doesn't want the Third Army marching across the border and cleaning up their house. So they're going to do some things. But this is a level of viciousness, of crime, and of corruption that most Americans really don't have their head wrapped around at all, because we've never seen anything like this. Maybe in the 1930s, Chicago, Al Capone, Chicago, the Prohibition days, that's probably the closest analogy we have in modern history. We don't want this in America, my God.
No, but it's here, so we better wrap our heads around it. We better understand it, because it is antithetical to American thinking. So you make such a great point. Attorney General Austin Knudsen, thank you so much for being here this morning, and stay on this issue, because Americans do need to understand it. It's here and it's not going away. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
All right, coming up, radio host Charlemagne the God, he claims, slams California Governor Gavin Newsom. Why does he think Newsom can't win the White House? Well, we'll tell you about that next on American Sunrise.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
Welcome back. Coffee pods are easy, but most of them are just caffeine and nothing else. Rejuvenate pods are built differently. They're clean pods infused with CA-AKG, a compound linked to longevity, metabolism, and deep cellular energy. It's the easiest way to get better focus, smoother energy, and long-term benefits without changing your routine. I choose them because they match the lifestyle I want. More energy, more clarity, and more intention in how I start my day. If you're going to drink coffee anyway, make it one that actually supports the life you're building. Head to 1775coffee.com/RAV and try Rejuvenate Pods today. Don't just drink coffee, rejuvenate. Now that we're caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And who is awake today? Podcaster and radio host Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne said he doesn't believe California Governor Gavin Newsom has a chance of becoming president. Take a look.
The governors are the ones to watch. Facts. Because the governors are the people that you can look at and see what they're doing in their state, and what they're doing in their state is probably, if they ever got into the position of power as president, they would do on a national level, which is why Gavin Newsom don't stand a fucking chance. There you go. I don't know why the he even is playing with people. All right. Okay. We all love Cali. All right. Yeah. And we've all seen what you've done to Cali. Yeah. No, beat it. Right.
what you, our viewers, think about all of this. Let us know on Rumble or Getter. Hop on and let your voice be heard. Coming up, the story of Adam and Eve. If you thought you knew all there was about humanity's first couple, guess again. What are we missing? The Bible history guy, Jim Mosley, breaks it all down for us next on American Sunrise.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit gopills.com. Use code REALAmerica for 15% off.
Go Pills
and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's time now for our Moment of Faith, brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, we read in Genesis that God created Eve from Adam's rib. But is that just an ancient fairy tale, or is there more depth in the biblical text than we might first notice? Here to help us analyze this is our friend Jim Mosley, the author of The Duke of D.C., The American Dream, Discovering Jesus' Disciples, Who They Were, What They Believed, and What They Achieved. Jim also co-wrote a book with Dr. G, The Days of Creation by Heart, Teaching Children How God Made the World. But around here, we simply call him the Bible history guy. Jim, thank you so much for being with us. Let's talk about the making of Eve.
Well, good morning. All right. Well, on Genesis day 6, Friday, God formed Adam from the dust of the ground, and he breathed into him, and Adam became a living being. But then God said it's not good for man to be alone. Now, after each day of creation, God contemplated what he'd done, and he called it good. But on this day, God pronounced the first not good.
However, before creating Eve, God brought every animal before Adam so he could name them. So you got to imagine they're sitting there, lion, camel, hippopotamus. Adam must have thought it was great fun. Maybe the animals thought it was fun. Probably God thought it was fun. But God's games always have a purpose. Once Adam had named all the animals, he realized something was missing. In all that parade of life, he had no equal, no counterpart. So God's game first let Adam see a critical need, and then God set about answering it. God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he took one of his ribs. From that rib, he created the woman. And we shouldn't dismiss this as just a myth, because modern genetics tells us how God may have done it. Every cell in Adam's body carried his complete DNA blueprint. As a man, Adam's chromosomes were X and Y. So the Creator had no difficulty choosing an X chromosome from one cell and an X chromosome from another cell and combining them into XX, the genetic code of all women. So God was painting with colors he'd already placed on his palette. Well, when Adam came to, he recognized Eve was different from all those animals he'd named. He said, "This is at last bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." Now, there's a story about a surgeon who bragged that surgery was the world's oldest profession because God created Eve out of Adam's rib. And an architect objected, no. God brought order out of chaos. What was that but architecture? Then a lawyer said, "And chaos, gentlemen? Who created that?" Now, I think I know why God made Eve last of all. While he was creating everything else, he didn't want to listen to her advice. But that aside, woman is the most beautiful of all God's creation. We can prove it because throughout history, nothing has been more celebrated in art, poetry, and song than the female form. No landscape, no star, no dream has ever captured the human mind like the beauty of woman. So Eve was the final stroke of divine artistry, the crown of creation.
Jim, thank you so much for breaking all of that down for us today. I learned a whole lot. I didn't know that. So thank you for sharing more insight.
My pleasure.
We'll be back with the second hour of American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAV Angel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAV Angel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
Coming up on this second hour of American Sunrise, President Trump delivers his first State of the Union address of his second term. It was the longest State of the Union address by a president in American history. We'll have expert reaction and analysis throughout this hour. Plus, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee slamming Tucker Carlson following their tense sit-down last week. This is going to be a good one. Why Huckabee says the commentator should no longer be allowed inside the White House. You have to hear it for yourself, and we'll let you know coming up. Also ahead, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Jeanine Pirro's office, has reportedly dropped its case against several Democratic lawmakers who cut a video encouraging members of the U.S. military to disobey President Trump's orders. Those stories and so much more right now on this second hour of American Sunrise.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back to this second hour of American Sunrise. As always, it's good to have you along for the ride. I'm Terrance Bates. I'm coming to you from our Real America's Voice newsroom in Denver. Let's bring in Dr. Gina, Emily Finn. They are both in our West Palm Beach studios, or as Dr. Gina likes to say, coming to us from the Palm Beaches, plural. I always love that. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning, T.
Good morning, Terrance.
All right, so look, your thoughts really quickly on the State of the Union. It is the big story. Typically it's defined or it's kind of broken down by tone, by style. What do you make of it, Dr. G?
I thought President Trump was 100% on point. And this isn't just a pro-President Trump person saying this. I've been one who's said exactly what I think all the way along from what President Trump does. But I thought last night he couldn't have been more tone perfect. I thought his arrangement was perfect. As David Brody pointed to earlier, he was all about America first until the very end, where he started mentioning some foreign stuff, which is still very America first. I thought he portrayed the Democrats precisely as they are. He shot straight. He didn't pull punches, but he wasn't combative. I just thought it couldn't have been more tone perfect, Emily. I hate ever sounding like a sycophant. I feel like that's what I sound like right now, but I don't mean it to be that way. That's really my most critical analysis.
No, I think that President Trump was very consistent. I mean, he was talking about W after W after W from his administration. A lot of wins. The U.S. hockey team, their W was even highlighted too. That was awesome. But the biggest takeaway that I had was the Democrats that, first of all, many of them didn't even show up. And some of them were so rude and, speaking out and trying to heckle the president during his speech. Rashida Tlaib particularly had a very offensive button that she was wearing. I think that in a midterm election year that this was terrible strategy from the Democrats, terrible messaging on their side, and we're going to see how that plays out next November, Terrance.
Well, ladies, it was definitely a speech of moments as the president gave his first State of the Union address of his second term last night. It was a wide-ranging address. A host of issues, both domestic and foreign, were addressed. On the issue of a nuclear Iran, though, the commander-in-chief left no question, saying despite ongoing negotiations, including one tomorrow, Iran having a nuclear weapon is not an option. He also used the congressional podium to call out Democrats for not putting America first, particularly when Democrats remained silent after 47 pointed out that the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. The Democratic response to the State of the Union was delivered by Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. However, Congressman Al Green making the headlines this morning for being escorted out of the State of the Union address. It's the second year in a row the Texas Democrat was removed from the president's joint address to Congress. As he was being walked out of the chamber, Green waved a sign that read, "Black people aren't apes." That sign refers to a social media repost by the president depicting former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. And it's back to life as usual for Secretary of Veterans Affairs and a friend of the show, Doug Collins, after he was absent from Tuesday night's State of the Union. Instead of joining his fellow cabinet members on the House floor, Secretary Collins was whisked away to a private and secret location to serve as the designated survivor. Had there been a tragedy, Collins would have taken on the role as president. It's a long-standing security measure. This, by the way, was Secretary Collins' second consecutive time serving as designated survivor. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now let's get a quick check of your hometown forecast from Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning. We're heading out to Ocala, Florida. This hometown coming in on Getter from Carefree Largo. And Florida had widespread frost advisories to start the day, but afternoon you're going to get to 71. So our temperature is going to be very nice, pretty seasonable for the next couple of days, but we do have an increasing chance for rain as we get closer to the weekend. Want to show you this out of South Florida, though. We have the national fire that is burning in the Everglades. This is the view of it from satellite, so getting that large where you can see it. Here's a view from Miles City. Lots of smoke. They even had some dense smoke statements this morning with low visibility if you were out on the roadways because of the smoke in the area. So something to be mindful of. But look at across the country. We are talking record high temperatures out west. Phoenix, 87 degrees, and not too bad across the Northeast. However, areas like New York still dealing with just a little bit of snow this morning. That Clipper system is moving through very quickly. And Terrance, we were talking about how New York City melts snow, and USS Malik on Getter mentioned that in Michigan, in this town in Michigan, Frankenmuth, I'm not quite sure, but they have heated roads actually. And I knew you could do heated driveways, but just interesting to kind of hear about the different technologies in different parts of the country.
No, absolutely. That's very cool. Tracy, thanks so much. Talk to you tomorrow.
See ya.
All right. As we all know, President Trump took to the podium last night to deliver the first official State of the Union address of his second term. It was a long one, folks, the longest State of the Union address, in fact, in the country's history, clocking in at 1 hour and 47 minutes. The president touted wins on the economy, calling it a turnaround for the ages. He even spoke on challenges such as rising tensions with Iran. 47 also challenged Democrats to signal support for protecting American citizens over illegal aliens. Here's how that looked. You're going to see this clip all day.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Joining us now with the reaction is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator Johnson, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. And by the way, that really was the pivotal moment of that speech. Literally, I could not believe the Democrats wouldn't stand up and just reaffirm that simple truth. I think most Americans believe that American government is here to serve and protect American citizens. Listen, we want to be humane to immigrants. We want to certainly deport the ones that come into this country illegally. But the fact that Democrats just sat there like a bunch of sourpusses and sat on their hands, not only for that, I mean, they wouldn't stand up and show sympathy for the mother of the Ukraine. Ukrainian young woman who was brutally murdered on a train. They wouldn't stand up and show, really celebrate the young girl who was, recovering from her grievous injuries from an illegal immigrant hitting her with an 18-wheeler. They wouldn't. I mean, it was just unbelievable what Democrats would not show support or sympathy for.
Senator, I like the way you described that as sourpusses. It was unbelievable to see how often they were sitting down, not cheering for things that should be bipartisan, should be for all Americans. But I do want to change gears from the speech last night now. Senate Republicans have been facing pressure from the White House to move forward with filibuster to push through voter ID laws. Majority Leader John Thune and others have been reluctant, saying this could paralyze the Senate. Senator, where do you stand on all of this?
Well, I joined Mike Lee and Rick Scott in a 2-hour meeting in the Oval Office with the president a couple of weeks ago to talk about this very issue. I've also reluctantly come out and agree with the president that times have changed, and we probably ought to end the filibuster. Democrats have shown us their hand. They're going to do it next time they have power. They'll do it to consolidate their power, pack the Supreme Court, turn D.C. and Puerto Rico into states, probably 4 new Democrat senators, turn America into a one-party nation. So we know what the Democrats are going to do. So I think we ought to beat them to the punch, but we don't have the support for that. So at a minimum, what we ought to do is bring the Save America Act to the floor and make Democrats have to defend why they oppose something that about 80% of American people support. Americans don't want their legitimate vote canceled by a fraudulent one. And so they realize that a simple ID to vote is just a basic thing that government ought to expect of its citizens who want to vote. We provide ID, including apparently to shovel snow in New York City under Mayor Mamdani, but not to vote. So again, President Trump is absolutely right. He said the only reason you'd oppose that is because you want to cheat. And that's the reality of the situation right now. So no, we need to bring it up to the floor and take hours and days making Democrats defend why they oppose something the American people support.
I mean, there's a new level of self-absorption, Senator, on the left right now. I guess we shouldn't be surprised when they voted at their own convention to take God out of their platform that they've put all of the focus on themselves, because this really isn't about empathy for illegals. This really isn't about human rights at all. This is really about them getting votes, because they can't get Americans to vote for them. So they are reliant on cheating, stealing, and conning with American taxpayer money, by the way, groups of people to vote for them to maintain their power.
This is their game plan. I mean, they supported NGOs, basically bringing people up from the Darien Gap in Panama to flood millions of people in this country. They promote what the Baker-Carter Commission said was probably the greatest area of fraud in our election system, absentee balloting, and they go beyond that. They go mail-in balloting. They want automatic registration. So it's obvious Democrats want to make it easy to cheat because they want to cheat. Because the things they support, Americans don't support. I mean, one of the things they refused to stand was a young woman who was transitioned without her parents' knowledge, detransitioned back to being a woman, and we celebrated that. Democrats, again, sat there on their hands like a bunch of sourpusses because they apparently want children to be transitioned without their parents' knowledge, which is really sick. It's unbelievable that that's the position they support.
Who wants that? Crazy.
Absolutely. Senator Johnson, much of the focus today is going to be on President Trump calling out Democrats and their lack of support for America First. But it can't be overlooked that the president also called you and your colleagues in the Senate to task specifically, and you addressed this a little bit just a little while ago, but specifically to pass the Save America Act, and he also called on Congress in general to codify many of the moves that he's made via executive order and otherwise. Did that message fall on deaf ears, or can we expect to see some action as soon as today?
No, we'd love to do it. The problem we have is, again, Democrats create these enormous messes, right? The open border, 40-year high inflation, which devalued our dollar, a dollar they held before this pandemic is only worth 80 cents. That doesn't change. You know, all the strife around the world. I mean, they create these enormous messes. And then not only do they not help us fixing them, you know, they create Obamacare, which has caused premiums to skyrocket. So they don't help us to fix them. Instead, for example, on the open border, they train activists. They encourage them to put themselves into harm's way by obstructing justice, knowing people are going to get hurt. When people get hurt, when a couple of people get killed, then they exploit those martyrs. So that's who the opposition party is here. So they're not going to help us. And right now with the filibuster, we need their support, which is, again, why I say it is time to end the filibuster. I'm not aware of any state that has that kind of supermajority vote required to pass legislation. It's not in the Constitution. This is a way to end unending debate by a simple vote. But again, Democrats have already signaled their hand. They're going to end the filibuster, so we probably ought to beat them to the punch for the benefit of the American people. They'll do it to consolidate power. We'll do it to secure the borders, secure elections, provide prosperity to Americans.
Senator, before we let you go, I do want to ask you about this. Democrats in the Senate are pushing legislation to force the administration to issue refunds to individuals hit by tariffs. How is the GOP going to respond to this?
Well, I guess that'll go nowhere. It's one of my disappointments with Supreme Court ruling. Regardless how they ruled, and I read opinions on both sides, the opinion, the dissent, justices on both sides make good arguments. This was a case that was crying for unanimous decision. The reason one wasn't reached is because past Congresses have written such ambiguous and awful laws that it allows presidents to interpret them one way and then, cries out for the courts to reinterpret them. So again, Congress has to write better laws. We do a terrible job doing that. But the last thing we ought to be doing is, from my standpoint, is refunding what we've already collected. That'll be a mess. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court justices, they could have ruled, okay, board is board, right? What's been paid is going to stay in there. Our judgment moves forward. But they didn't do that. It just creates greater uncertainty. And that's the real tragedy of that Supreme Court decision. It didn't bring certainty. It created greater uncertainty.
Senator Johnson will have to leave the conversation there. Always good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Have a great morning.
You as well. Coming up, a disturbing new scam that's exploding across the country, and it could leave your home's title up in limbo. After the break, how a disabled woman lost a $600,000 home in just days. Also, why police said that their hands are tied on this. That story is next. And later, the Fani Files. What do new memos show the Fulton County DA worked with on the Trump case? We'll have details ahead here on American Sunrise.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid. There's a whisper in the wind, and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, You gotta follow the light.
That's a Stowe, Vermont. Is Gina going to ski there? Has anybody told Gina about Stowe, Vermont? Has she skied there at Stowe, Vermont? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, look, home title theft is one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes in America. And for families like one in Hawaii, the consequences can be devastating. So here's what happened. A disabled woman suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia lost her $600,000 home after a fraudster filed a forged deed, just 16 days, by the way, after her family gained guardianship to sell it for her care. Now, by the time they discovered the fraud, the home had already been resold in a rush deal, and police said it wasn't a criminal matter. What? Joining us now with what you need to know to fight back and protect your property is former FBI agent, current licensed private investigator, Tom Simon. Tom, good morning to you. Here's my first question. What in the world? Explain.
Yeah. Okay, so you hit the nail on the head. We have Betsy, a senior citizen with Alzheimer's disease on the western side of Oahu in a town called Waianae. Her family wants to sell the house to pay for her care, and then we enter a guy named Eldon Simer, who forged a deed at the Bureau of Conveyances, transferring ownership of the house to him. He had a forged notary seal on the document, and then he sold the house to a finance company in Texas in a quick sale for $350,000, just a fraction of the home's worth. As you said, the family calls the Honolulu Police Department, who said it wasn't a crime. It was a civil matter. So the family had to hire attorneys to sue the finance company in Texas, and they got a settlement, but you know and I know that attorneys aren't free.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so you say that it was not a criminal matter and it was a civil matter. So how common is it for deed forgery to be treated as civil rather than criminal, and why does it matter? That's the key.
It happens all too often. And so what happens is then it shifts the responsibility to the victims in this case to fund the civil suit to make this thing right. And so it ends up being a real nightmare. We see it all over the country right now where the police just really aren't equipped to handle a complex fraud like home title theft. And then we have the Bureau of Conveyances, or functionally the county clerk's office, and no one's watching the store there. They just record the deeds without verifying the signatures or anything else. That's, they're not doing any underlying investigation. So it's a real problem.
Yeah. Tom, what steps can families take here to protect vulnerable relatives' property when seeking guardianship or conservatorship? I mean, this is obviously a major problem, especially for folks that are a bit up there in age, if you will.
The answer is subscribing to Home Title Lock. They have $1 million triple lock guarantee where they're going to monitor your home title. They're going to notify you if there's any change in the status of your home title. And they have a U.S.-based restoration team that's going to restore that home back into your name at no additional cost to you as a subscriber.
Very good. So when they go there, what do they need to do? And just go to the website? Is there certain forms they need to fill out? Or how does the process begin? Basically,
I'm a subscriber. It's super easy. I go to HometitleLock.com. I think we have a promo code Sunrise for your viewers. When I did it, it took about 5 minutes. Next thing you know, you get a home title report to make sure, kind of get the baseline. Is everything cool right now? And then they keep their finger on the pulse of this thing, so you don't have to.
Yeah, Tom Simon, really appreciate it. We always talk about evil in the world. I mean, my goodness, you guys are fighting against evil for sure. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, Tom. There's more American Sunrise coming up after the break. Stay with us.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAV Angel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAV Angel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. The bell is set to ring here in about 7 minutes or so. I can tell you that pre-market trading and the futures markets looking positive right now. They're up slightly. All of this on the tail of, on the heels, of President Trump's State of the Union address last night. We'll, of course, take you live to New York and for the New York Stock Exchange opening bell ringing here in just a little bit. But while we wait, let's get you over to RAV correspondent Bo Davidson and Julio Gonzalez, who are talking about what you need to know about refunds this tax season.
Thank you, Terrance. Well, tax season is here, and I'm joined by Julio Gonzalez of Engineered Tax Services. Julio, you just wrote an article in The Hill, and you have some great news about this tax season. Refunds are looking great. That one big, beautiful bill that President Trump signed is now the Working Families Tax Cut Act. How much is the average taxpayer expected to receive this year, Julio?
Well, you know, they reported in the Wall Street Journal that it was going to be $1,000 more per family. But look, I'm at ground zero. We're doing the tax returns, right, with all our accounting firms nationwide, and we're seeing double, right? So double. If a family had $2,000 this year, it's $4,000. If they had $1,000 last year, it's $2,000. So it's increased by 100%, and that's phenomenal for all these families. They're surprised, and we saw it coming, but ultimately, it's nice for them to start seeing this, and we'll continue to see this through tax season.
Yeah, because it's relief for individuals, for families, for couples. Tell me about these new deductions for individuals and married couples. What do they look like?
Well, we took the standard deduction way up, right? So more standard deductions there. We took the child tax credit up. So for families, that's great. You know, the most obvious ones, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But for the older people, right, no taxes on the Social Security for most of them. Those are substantial, right? This is why we're getting to double the amount that they're getting in refunds. And that's incredible. And over 90% of families are getting refunds this year. That's phenomenal. This is a big change from the previous administration. And remember, when we passed that tax bill, no Democrats voted for it. Right? That's hard to believe, right? That they don't want to support these families.
Well, it just shows President Trump's commitment, obviously, to putting money back in the hands of the American worker, which I think is so important. Something new this year. What about that cap on state and local taxes? What's going on there?
That was huge, right?
So tell me about that.
All right, so it was $10,000 before, and we increased it 4x, right? So now it's $40,000. So we're seeing a lot of relief there for families where there's high state tax, or here in Florida where you have high property taxes. Yep. So that's been a big relief as well. That's why we're seeing big refunds.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you just mentioned it, Julio, but dive in a little bit deeper for me. The no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. How's that going to benefit workers?
Oh my God, it's incredible. I mean, we're seeing it even at the country clubs where we belong and at the restaurants we go to. And you talk to these servers, right? They work so hard, right? And to have that relief, that's, like getting 50% back, right? Because, they're paying 50% of their tips into taxes, right?
Absolutely.
Federal, state, and local. So when you take that 50% and give it back to them, imagine how it boosts the economy and for them personally.
All right, now let's talk about our seniors, because I think a lot of people out there watching will be interested in this. Social Security, what tax relief are they getting?
This is tremendous, right? Again, you're thinking about 20 to 30% of that income that they have that goes to taxes, right, at the federal, state, and local. And to get that savings when they have, that is their savings, right? And now they're getting a 30% raise, 20% raise in certain states. How big is that for these families? It's incredible. That was a genius move, right? Because ultimately they need relief. And no one wanted to give it to them in the previous administration, right? I think it was just a genius move. And hopefully they're seeing the benefits of it and being able to do a little bit more with their money.
Well, Julio, I've got a 2-year-old son, and I'm expecting my family is growing. Talk about the expansion of the child tax credit.
How great is that?
Yeah.
Like the government's going to chip in $1,000 to get that started for these families. And you have a lot of corporations now matching that. So what a program that children now can invest in the stock market, get into funds, and ultimately start to grow that money and get matching from the government. That's fantastic, right? We want to set them up from the beginning to be successful. And what a boost to start that at ground zero, right? Right when they come out, at the hospital, right? And now they're getting all this tremendous opportunity.
I'm just a little bummed out that my son didn't get it because he was a 2024 baby, but my next one here in 2026 will get the Trump account. I mean, that's just something that's unprecedented, as you mentioned.
Unprecedented.
Where can people go to learn more about what you do at Engineered Tax Services and how you can help get tax relief, entrepreneurial things started, grant information? Tell us where we can go to find out more about Engineered Tax.
Yeah, I think the best way is to just text grants to 26786, and we'll share with them our information on how to get grants. No one applies for that, right? The Fortune 500, 100% of the companies apply. Every small business entrepreneur, 1% applies. So we got to have that equality, and we'll send that to them. We'll send out daily tax tips. We'll send them our books, and just help them out on tax and grant equality.
And you've got that QR code right there on your screen, so make sure you take a picture of that and get in touch with Julio. He's saving people money. That's all for now. Julio Gonzalez, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on.
And back to you, Terrance, to the opening bell.
Bo, thanks so much. By the way, you had me at saving people money, Bo. We're getting ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It's set to ring here any minute now. It is sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
All right, the applause is underway on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, which means we are moments away from the opening bell and getting an idea of exactly where the markets stand. America Cares is at the podium. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The bell is now ringing. The markets are officially open. And here's how things are looking on this Wednesday of trading. As you can see, the top of our board all green. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all in the green. VIX is the only blemish, if you will, on our screen. The rest of it is in the green as well. We, of course, will continue to monitor all of this for you throughout the day. But in the meantime, still to come here on American Sunrise, a sharp feud boils over as Ambassador Mike Huckabee says that Tucker Carlson shouldn't be anywhere near the White House. He's also warning of criticism of President Trump's Israel policy is dividing the MAGA movement. We'll dig into the details ahead. And later, explosive new files show that Fani Willis coordinated behind the scenes with President Biden's DOJ, the White House, and the January 6th Democrats to build the Trump prosecution. So much more will come out. We'll break it all down for you here on American Sunrise.
They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
Always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Thanks for joining us this morning. By the way, we invite you to join the conversation on Getter and Rumble, YouTube as well. Time now to take the political pulse of America. The beat today, well, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee slamming Tucker Carlson for what he calls dangerous and divisive attacks on President Trump's Israel policy. Huckabee says Carlson's criticism undermines the president, the America First movement as well, and even the U.S.-Israel relationship itself. Now, during a conversation with All Israel News, Huckabee says Carlson should not be anywhere near the White House, even as reports surfaced that Carlson was spotted there, actually, just hours after those comments. With Carlson continuing to question Trump's support for Israel, the feud is now sparking new tensions inside the GOP between traditional pro-Israel conservatives and a rising populist wing, tensions that could undermine the MAGA movement as a whole. So let's bring in T. Bates and Dr. G for this. It's a tricky one. It's a complicated one. It's a toxic one. It's a passionate one. So I don't know. Gina, where are you on this? First of all, we should do a disclaimer and say no one's talking about shutting up Tucker Carlson and taking away any sort of First Amendment right or deplatforming and all that. I mean, that's not what we're talking about here, but more the internal politics of it, because there's definitely a fracturing that could happen here. Hello, Gina.
No doubt. Sorry. I turned off my mic so I can cough and sneeze because I didn't think you all needed to hear that. No doubt, David, that this is sort of a moment of reckoning for conservatives who are, I wouldn't say in an identity crisis, because look at the left. I mean, my gosh, they can't even clap for America over illegal aliens. They stayed seated for the parents of murdered children. So I'm just not going to let the left divide us over this. I think people have a right to ask questions. We have a right to reflect upon our own values. Where do we stand? You know, just because we support people of a country, does that mean we necessarily always support the government of a country? Case in point, Ukraine and crazy, you can read the Epstein files on Zelensky. You know, the list goes on and on. So I think it's okay if we look in the mirror and we ask questions of ourselves. What I don't think is okay is turning it into circular fire, where we are destroying each other, deplatforming each other, talking more about our problems internally than we are talking about those people who sat there last night while patriots of this country weren't even cheered. 100-year-old veterans who shed blood for their freedom to sit there and not clap. That, to me, is the disgrace, David, and that's where I'm going to keep my focus, Terrance.
David, to get back to Tucker Carlson specifically, I'm going to give you somewhat of a rhetorical question or rhetorical response and then ask you a question kind of at the end, because I've been chewing on this overnight and wondering if this is an issue of messaging or if this is an issue of timing. While I don't agree with some of Tucker Carlson's perspectives on Israel and the U.S. relationship with Israel, I do wonder if there is a place at the table to have his perspective as part of U.S. policy formation related to Israel. But then I also wonder, kind of on the back of that, whether the fact that the current timing in which he's giving out these thoughts is part of the reason we're having these conversations, given that it's still such a tense time in terms of Israel continuing the ceasefire and hopefully peace efforts, if you will, across the Middle East. So to that, and David, if I can ask you, is it really, it's just a messaging issue, or is this a timing issue given all that's happening in Israel and in the Middle East?
I think it's a theological issue, and I think it's something that could very well affect the Republican Party going forward. And to be clear, what I'm talking about is that Tucker is speaking to a segment of MAGA. It's more younger, for sure. And I think there could be some of those folks that say, yeah, we're done with MAGA if it's going to be the traditional pro-Israel approach that we've seen in the past. And so that Tucker's speaking to that. Having said that, my issues with Tucker, and there's a lot of them, but I'll just start with this and end with this because we got to get to our guest. Look, he's grilling Mike Huckabee on Israel. I mean, he was obstinate. He was very intense with Huckabee about wanting to even provide potentially DNA tested Jews in Israel. What in the world is he talking about? And then with Nick Fuentes, it's flowers and roses and syrupy. And with Putin, it's flowers and roses and let Putin talk for 30 minutes and never interrupt him and challenge him. And then I can just go down the list of all of the guests that he puts on. No one's saying that he shouldn't have these guests on, but you got to challenge him, and he's not doing it. And it's a one-way street, and I think it's very dangerous. All right, well, anyhow, for reaction, let's welcome pastor and author of the book, The Power of Short Prayers. That would be Jensen Franklin. Jensen, pastor, good morning to you. There is your book. Got a little passionate there. What is your take on what's going on between, what's going on with Tucker Carlson? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it is something to get passionate about, especially coming from the evangelical perspective. And as a pastor who has stood with Israel as much as anyone, I think, and our ministry, we understand that America is great because of our faith. The president mentioned it last night in his great speech. It was a remarkable speech. But, you know, we cannot ever lose our Judeo-Christian foundation. We are a nation of religious freedom, celebrate that freedom, but we don't have to turn our backs on the fact that there is an undeniable tie to America and the rebirth of the nation of Israel in 1948. And that would never happen, and that nation would not continue to exist if America did not stand with that nation. They're our only ally, real friend in the Middle East. Are they perfect? No. But I think when Governor Huckabee, now Ambassador Huckabee, speaks the body of Christ listens. We trust that man. He is the watchman on the wall, watching for enemies that would come to deny the ability of Israel to exist. And anytime we hear any tint of that kind of thing, if you want to talk about a voting population that will be vocal and vote their Bible, you're talking to that. And I would highly recommend that Tucker and all of us look at the amazing wins we have had in 1 year and come down with the rhetoric. Let's find middle ground that we can agree on. And I love what one of the guests said, bring Tucker to the table and others to the table. Come, let us reason together, the book of Isaiah said, and find out how we can move forward together. Because if we don't stand together at this midterm election, we will lose the House and we will lose the effectiveness of this president.
Agreed. And if we don't root ourselves in the word of Jesus, we're all lost anyway. So that brings us to last night's State of the Union address. You addressed it just a little while ago. The president basically speaking about the rebirth of faith in part of it, particularly among young Americans, and he credited Charlie Kirk for that. Listen.
I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both the first 4 years, and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal. This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand.
Pastor, it's often said that what really matters in one's life is not the birth date or the ending date, but that dash in between. And Charlie made full use of that dash in between.
He really did. And what the president said was remarkable. I couldn't help but smile. I remember meeting in that Trump Tower in the first meeting with a group of evangelicals, and he said, I won't let you down. He said, America cannot be great without faith. It cannot be. And he didn't just say it, he's backed it up. And we have won battle after battle after battle with this president. And because of Charlie Kirk and the sacrifice that he laid down that day on that college campus, I'll speak for our own ministry. We have seen thousands of young people return to church. They are more discipled than ever, more committed than ever. They're more passionate. They're giving up vices that were destroying their lives. They're gladly laying them down, taking up their cross. And as Charlie would say, they're saying, here am I, Lord, send me. That is what makes this nation great. And if we see another generation rise up like we're seeing, we're going to see revival in this nation in great ways.
So fascinating to hear you say that. And I've noticed the same thing. And I think that's the upside of this, that the media is never going to tell that side of the story, right? That millions of young people, really not even just in America, but really around the world, because of what has happened to Charlie, are coming to Christ and realizing really who they are in him. And that is so beautiful. But it is a lot of those same young people that are asking the hard questions. They're asking the hard questions about Israel. They want to understand what really is the biblical perspective on this, because people say, oh, it is this. Well, I've heard really compelling arguments on both sides of this. Ambassador Huckabee is a good friend. I know Tucker. These are hard questions we're asking right now. It really really is a contemplative moment inside the Christian conservative movement, and evangelicals don't all stand on one side or the other. Not just of that, but even some of the questions people are asking about what really happened to Charlie. Speak to the cup half full perspective on this, if you would, for a moment. Tell us about what this means spiritually going forward.
It's really a great question. I think you put your finger right on where America is. I have 5 children. My wife and I have been married 38 years, and my kids are young, and the oldest would be 35, so they're 2 years down. And I get these questions. My own son has called me and said, I've listened to this podcast and Tucker, et cetera, and tell me about this, Dad. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen. We need to have these conversations. As the pulpit goes in America, so goes the nation. It's time for the pulpits of America, the pastors of America, to stand up and address these issues from a biblical perspective and clearly teach what the Bible says. I'll sum it all up quickly. Number one, there are 2 things on God's mind right now. Guarantee it's the priority. Number one, the nation of Israel and the church. That's what the whole Bible is about. The nation of Israel and the church. And that nation of Israel became a people, and the people gave us the line of the tribe of Judah, who became the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And all things end in Jerusalem. And the point is, if we begin to stray away, if you separate yourself from Israel or the church, the path that you're going, it won't happen overnight, but the path that you're going in. And I'm not saying you can't disagree. I love what you said about policies, and all of us and all governments are stained, but their right to exist, their right to be in that land, and our command in Genesis 12:3, I will bless those that bless Israel. I will curse those, speaking of the nations, that curse Israel. I want to be on the blessing side for my children and children's sake.
This is really a moment, I think, don't you, of prayer. We really have to separate ourselves from policy and rhetoric and just pray about this, but truly to listen, I think, rather than to just constantly demean one another's opinions. Jensen Franklin, just sound to hear from you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Pastor.
Coming up, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey was confronted by RAV's own Ben Bergquam last night on his way to an anti-Trump protest in Minnesota. We're going to show you what happened after this break. Don't miss it.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid. There's a whisper in the wind, and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but But you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
Let's spill some tea.
All right, Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Company, the veteran-owned patriotic tea brand delivering premium whole leaf tea in biodegradable sachets that brew twice as strong. Patriots, if you love great tea on your terms, check out the Patriots Brew Club for automatic shipments that you control. You can cancel or swap flavors anytime with no commitments. You'll also get free shipping on every order, tier discounts up to 20% off, and free milestone rewards along the way. Brew strong, stay patriotic. Head to artillerytco.com right now and click Join the Patriots Brew Club to get started. It is time now to spill some tea, and in the cup today, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The mayor, who helped drum up division with his resistance to ICE and federal authorities during President Trump's crackdown on crime and illegal immigration in his city, was confronted by RAV's very own Ben Berquam on the way to a protest during the State of the Union. Ben pressed Mayor Frey on this and when he ran into him, and take a look at how all of it played out.
Mayor Frey, why do you think these politicians are protecting illegal aliens over American citizens?
What's that?
Why do you think these politicians are protecting illegal aliens over American citizens?
Everybody deserves some protection and some safety, don't you think?
Yeah, all the Angel families that have been killed because we've allowed mass illegal migration. Yeah, but you're protecting illegal aliens in your city at the expense of your constituents.
No, that's not.
And you're calling on your police to obstruct.
Hang on.
You're calling on your police to obstruct
both of
ICE operations.
No, none of the things you're saying are true.
So should ICE be protected?
Everybody does.
But do they have a right to do their job and not be obstructed by protesters, radical leftists whistling, obstructing their operations?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We aren't talking about ICE doing normal ICE stuff.
They were until you guys started obstructing them and tried to run them over with your vehicles and blowing your whistles. I've been on 10 different ICE routes.
That's not true.
It is true. It is true.
All right,
Minnesota deserves better. That's Mayor Frey, everybody.
We want to know what you, our viewers, think. Let us know on Rumble or Getter. Hop on and let your voice be heard. Still to come on American Sunrise, new details coming out about the Fani Willis case against President Trump. What will we learn? We have those details next on American Sunrise.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. David Brody, he's bopping.
Oh, sorry.
I'm Dr. G. We thank you for being with us this morning. Time now for the one to watch. T-Man, what is your eye upon this morning? Besides this?
Well, I'm watching a lot of stories, but in particular, a new story that we're learning about is new documents that reveal just how deep the coordination between Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, the Biden White House, and the J6 committee on Willis, the J6 committee, the collusion between those entities is just now coming out. Fani Willis, of course, built a failed case against President Trump. The internal emails that have just been released, along with memos obtained by Just the News after a legal fight, show that Willis's team received direct help from the Biden administration and the Biden DOJ, including a presidential waiver of executive privilege and behind-the-scenes meetings with top White House lawyers. The documents also reveal close communications between Willis's prosecutors and Democrats on the House January 6 panel, with her deputies praising the committee's work as amazing and even traveling to Washington, D.C. for private in-person briefings and access to materials not available to the public. Now, I'm watching this story specifically, guys, because it's another example of how the Biden White House really politicized the Department of Justice and weaponized it against President Trump during the campaign and leading up to President Trump returning to the White House. And I'm hopeful, not necessarily optimistic, but hopeful that there will be some accountability, that people will be held accountable now that this information is getting out. Dr. Gina, again, I have to say I'm hopeful. I'm not necessarily optimistic that will happen.
Yeah, I feel about the same. I feel like this about everything. I just want to see some action. Hopefully, they're just planning this all out so well that when we do see action, it's going to be very, very potent, David Brody.
I am a hopeful and optimistic person, and I am not hopeful and optimistic about this. Let me just say, you know why? Because here's what we're going to get. I guarantee you it'll be April or May of this year, and we will do a story in one of our blocks saying a House committee met today to discuss blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Can we have a block regarding perp walks? Can we have a block regarding grand jury indictments? Can we have any of it? I don't think we're getting that block, guys. I really don't. And that's really sad. You know, this type of stuff, we talked about this when